Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So France used to be the boss in parts of Africa. All right. So, it called the shots, it took the resources, used the money to fuel its own economy while it left the countries in Africa, destitute, poor, and also in the dark. But however, in the last 2 years, this whole thing, this whole French model, the way France, structured itself just blew up, and it blew up kind of fast, and it came out of nowhere. Okay. Now the French government is on its fourth prime minister. So the way it's looking right now, the French government or the French economy is basically collapsing, and it's not looking good for them. Okay. And I did a video about this already before. And now, currently, right now, France is on his fourth prime minister in just 12 months. Okay, walk down the streets in Paris or Lyon, and you'll see protest strike. Matter of fact, maybe it's better if I just show it to you guys. All right, this is what you're gonna see when you walk down the streets in Paris. Okay, and people are furious at the leaders. All right, they are angry. The government can't agree on anything. Okay, they can't agree to fix anything. Okay, they just keep switching up the top officials like it's musical chairs. Okay, France's debt has exploded, more than $3 trillion and climbing, almost 120% of all money by the country produces in a year. Borrowing has gotten so expensive that France is paying $67 billion a year in interest alone. Okay, just interest. That's how much it's costing them. All right. And also too, just, creditors now are threatened to downgrade France's, the ratings. Investors are getting nervous, and, they just, I'll be nervous too if I'm an investor, because I'm not getting my money back. You may not get your money back. The economy may completely collapse. Okay. The French economy, once the pride of Europe, is barely moving. It grew by less than 1% this year. Okay, unemployment is creeping up. Household spending is way down, and almost no one, and I mean no one, trusts this government. So and it's insane. It's crazy to see this is happening, right? I talked about this before. I don't think it's honestly I don't think it's that crazy, because I kind of saw this coming. The French government, they just they're not basically taking care of their own people. They're not taking care of, the people feel they being neglected, and this is what you get. You get protests everywhere. You get Macron, you get all this stuff or rioting, and because the people are feeling left out. Now, meanwhile, here's a twist. The countries in Africa that France used to boss around, like Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali, kicked the France out. Told them this and pack your stuff and get the hell out. Okay, go pound sand. At first, people said they'll collapse, and I remember, I think Macron and I think somebody from his government came out and was like, "Yeah, basically the Africans cannot rule them." This is crazy. I think they said something like, "The Africans cannot rule themselves. Like they need France, so they need France's help to rule, or else the economy and everything else is going to collapse." Okay. But they're like, well, we don't care. We're not going to go back to your, whatever nonsense you're talking about. So when the leaders of these countries started running their own show, things changed, and they changed drastically. Okay. They stopped selling uranium and gold for cheap, built new trade deals with countries that are actually paying fair prices, and pumped money into roads, schools, and local businesses. Just so you guys know, one out of every 3 light bulb in France is powered by uranium stolen from Niger. France was basically stealing it and giving them nothing for it. Meanwhile, France is all, all lights and glimmer and so on and so forth. The country that they were taking the uranium from, 90% of the country has no electricity and poor. Come on. So they said, listen, we had enough of this. This model no longer works for us, and we're kicking you out of here. All right. The minute they did that, not only now the terrorism has gone down significantly, GDP growth went through the roof. Niger has nearly 10% growth this year. Burkina Faso and Mali, they're in mid digits. I think they're about 5% to 4% respectively. Okay. Their economies are growing. Isn't that strange? They kick out France, took over the resources of their own country, and suddenly, voila, okay, GDP is going up, projects are being being done all over Africa right now. I think well the one of the two main countries, which is Burkina Faso and Mali, and they seeing major growth. Meanwhile, France is, they're flailing around. They keep switching up they keep switching up prime ministers. Every time you turn around, there's a new prime minister in France. So everything is going up. France is in trouble. They, look at, this prime minister. They had one. They just got rid of him. There's another one. Here he is. There goes Macron. That smug look on his face. Africa is not taking it anymore. They basically had enough. They had enough of it. Right. So the minute they kicked France out, terrorism went down. GDP goes up. People got real jobs. Savings went up. These countries even started working together. Okay, they are planning their own currency and forming the alliance of the Sahel states, so they wouldn't need France money or anything to back them up anymore. Okay, so while these politicians, all these guys and all these France politicians, or what these politicians in Paris, okay, while they just they just they fighting over budget cuts and trying to debate how they're gonna structure the economy and so on and so forth. Africa is like, listen, man, we're on the move, dude. We're on the move. Okay, we're not waiting for you. We don't want to need you to. We're not asking for permission. All right, and so the France is having a hard time right now trying to save their dying economy. Okay, leaders in West Africa are, for the first time in a long time, are standing taller than ever. In France, it's crisis after crisis, massive debt, weak growth, no confidence in leadership, social unrest. In the Sahel, economies are growing, pride is on the rise, and people feel hopeful for the first time. Guys, for the first time in years, people feel hopeful, and the message is clear. Okay, France, for a very long time, a lot of these countries in Africa, they build an infrastructure. One of the main things also they need is power, electricity. The continent is starving for electricity, and so they partner up with countries like Russia and China, who's helping them build new power plants, electricity, farming, and so on and so forth. Right? France thought they couldn't lose in Africa, but honestly, now the tables have turned. Right, the very countries that were once dismissed as dependent are now setting the pace, while France scrambled to clean up its own disastrous economy and its own mess. Okay, so Africa is I'm actually quite hopeful and see how far and where this is gonna go. And so far, man, is looking really good for them. France tried to assassinate Ibrahim Traore so many times. They failed. I think currently Russia just stepped in and says, like, listen, you know what? This game ends right now. We're going to go ahead and give him protection. And so let's see what's going to happen with the French government and the French economy. All right. And let's see how Africa, these former French colonies, and let's see how they're developing. Let's see what's going to come of them in the future. Well, anyway, that's going to be all for today, guys. If you like the content, if you like this information, please give this channel a like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments in the section below, and I will see you soon.